All right, really good stuff from the Wholesome One, Dwayne Holloway. And again, nothing recent posted, but I still encourage you to go to YouTube. And if you love Miami football and you want to take on what he said earlier about what the Canes would do, both as a team and individually, which is really impressive for 2018, check out the videos right there. All right, the matchup in the Pinstripe Bowl is rather familiar. I don't know why, Wholesome One, why this one comes to mind as being familiar. Oh, yeah, they just played last year. I don't understand bowl selections. Okay, we've got teams in the ACC that Miami aren't going to, the Miami football program will not see play for 6 years. There's a rotation in the other division. Obviously, they play Florida State every year. The other teams rotate, the other 6 teams. And the same thing happens in the SEC in particular, where Miami's not going to see teams in the ACC for 6 years, but they see Wisconsin twice in 1 year. The bowl experience is first and foremost for me, for the players to be rewarded for a good season. But secondly, it's for the fan bases. And there aren't, for my taste, enough big non-conference games in the regular season that it's great to see the Big Ten go up against the ACC and the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and the SEC, et cetera. All these cross-sectional matchups. But we just saw this one last year. We're just going to see it in a different venue with maybe some snowflakes in the air and 25 degrees rather than 75 degrees. I don't know why they're putting these same 2 teams together when 80% of the guys on the field are going to be the same, when it's an ACC Big Ten matchup and they could have swapped it out and it could have been Michigan State and Miami. And I really liked this one, Dwayne. Purdue, who has an exceptional quarterback in David Blau, and Rondell Moore, who's probably the freshman of the year nationally, is just lightning in a bottle at wide receiver. Have that passing attack go up against that Miami defense. I would have liked to have seen that game. Again, I'm going to be all in on watching Wisconsin and Miami play. It's the Big Ten against the ACC. It's 2 power programs going up against. So I'll watch the game, but I would just like to see a little variety in regards to name brands playing each other. But your thoughts on the matchup?
I 100% agree. I do not want to see them again. A part of me, the competitive side of me, wants to see them because they're a little bit more down this year than they were last year.
Sure.
Not a lot more down.
Yeah.
So us getting a W is a little bit more likely this year than it was last year.
You could make not to cut you off. You could make the argument that they've taken a bigger tumble than you have. They finished in the top 5 in the nation last year. Only lost 1 game by a touchdown to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, and they've dropped to 7-5.
Right, but everybody has this respect for Wisconsin, so they wouldn't go on ESPN and verbally just dismantle them like they did us during our 4 or 5 game losing streak, which is also understandable. You know, teams like Wisconsin, Nebraska, Penn State, USC. I mean, USC isn't even making a bowl game, but ESPN's not talking about it. They're not slandering them. You know, that team in Tallahassee isn't making a bowl game either, but they're not slandering. They're giving them a pass this year too. So, but when it comes to the U, oh man, we lose 1 game and we're the worst program in the country. That's also my biased opinion. But when it comes to Wisconsin, the team to me that I saw last year that kind of pushed us around towards the end of that game isn't the same team. Of course, the offensive line, year in and year out, is going to be the best part of their team. If not the offensive line, then the defense. But this year, it's the offensive line is kind of keeping them afloat to a certain extent.
Yep.
At 7-5, they got some really good draftable guys, some first-round guys on the offensive line. But besides that, like we both alluded to, it's not the same. Why we want to see this twice? Why not mix it up and have us go against UCLA? I don't even know if UCLA made a bowl game, but
no.
Let's just see something different, you know?
Yeah.
Well, oh, yeah, that's right, because they upset USC, but both of them had really bad seasons this year. That's right. Oregon, Give us a Pac-12 team. We want to see some firepower going on. Okay, Miami, you say you got a great defense? Well, let's, just like you said, let's put them up against a good offense. A pass, like air raid, but now it's the spread. But let's see what they do against a spread team that spreads them out and makes them cover. Because nowadays, it's all about points. And if you have a good defense that isn't allowing too many points, let's see what you're going to do in a big bowl game. This is just going to be I formation. Hey, Gerald Willis, if you want to go in the first round. Joe Jackson, if you want to go in the first round. This is your game. Show us what you have against big country guys, offensive line, against your defensive line.
Yeah, Wisconsin still boasts two of the best offensive linemen in the country that are going to be high draft picks that are Ben Schowell and Dieter are their names that are all Big Ten players. And, of course, Jonathan Taylor's arguably the best running back in the country, and you got your fill of him last year, and you're going to see him again for probably 25 times in this game. So what everybody missed on the Wisconsin evaluation for this year was, here's a team that went 13-1. They came within one score of making the college football playoff and winning the Big Ten championship, and they've got their quarterback back, their running back in Jonathan Taylor, 2,000-yard back, their wide receivers, who what surprised me last year is actually what Wisconsin was able to do against Miami that surprised me last year was throw the ball against the cornerbacks, and the wide receivers did a great job. A.J. Taylor, Danny Davis, that group, they were all back. Some of them got suspended. They had some issues off the field, but the offensive playmakers were back for Wisconsin, so people automatically thought that they were going to challenge for a college football playoff spot. What was missed was their defense was shredded. A couple big guys came back, led by T.J. Edwards in particular, but their defense that was a top 5 to 10 defense in the nation last year didn't come back for the most part, and that's what's really hurt this team. Plus, Alex Hornibrook was a very inconsistent quarterback, even though they won all those games last year. And then he really hit his stride against you guys in the Orange Bowl and played a great game. He went back to being inconsistent. So many of us thought that he might become, that might have been his coming out party to where he was going to be able to harness that for a full season, but it wasn't to be.
Right. And that was what guys like Cam Underwood, who came on your channel, and Lonzo1219 and me, we all thought there's no way we lose to these people. I mean, we were not expecting them to be able to pass the way that they did, but that's where you have the coaching aspect coming in at, to where they knew exactly what coverage we were going to be in on what particular down. And because every defense and every coverage has holes in it. So they knew which guy to attack whenever we went into man. They were able to pick up almost every one of our blitzes, things of that nature. So it was tough because I was at the Orange Bowl. It was really tough to watch because defense is what we leaned on last year, also what we're leaning on this year. And to see them go out there and give up, 350 or 400 total yards was like, wow, we really have no chance if the defense can't hold. And they were kind of able to pick us apart. We'll make a play first down, we'll make a play on second down, or a good open field tackle on second down, and then they'll convert on first down. They'll convert on third and short or third and medium to make a first down. So they kind of really drug the game out. Then they'll hit us with a run here, a run there. And that was the first time we gave up a 200-yard rusher. And not a very long time, because under Al Golden, we gave up a lot of runs. But that was the first time that season that a running back could say he beat us. We lined up and they ran, and he ran through us. With Manny Diaz being absent on the sideline, again, for this game, I don't know how confident I am going into the game. Also, with it being a huge climate change, those guys are used to being negative 30, 20, 15 degrees. Miami, we usually don't play well in weather, cold weather games.
Yeah. So I don't usually put a huge factor on the weather, and I try not to predict who's going to play well. because I think it's very overplayed in the NFL. Because let's say the Miami Dolphins were playing in Green Bay, people go crazy. Well, the Miami Dolphins aren't going to play well in Green Bay. Well, where are these players on the Miami Dolphins roster from? They're from all over the country. But this isn't the NFL. This is college football. Where are the Miami kids from on the Miami team? Well, they're generally from the South, almost all of them. So there is a factor. The Wisconsin kids will be much more accustomed to the climate and the conditions, and it's going to be. I have watched every Pinstripe Bowl since they started the thing about 7 or 8 years ago, and generally it's been cold, frigid, like 18 degrees, 22 degrees, cold, icy, bad field conditions. Not the kind of game this Miami team wants to get involved in. I'm not saying they don't have a chance, but I think it's going to be a very competitive game. But as you say, this is a disadvantage for Miami. There's no question about it. I'm looking at.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the numbers from last year's game, just trying to reacquaint myself to what happened. And I have a pretty good recollection of the game. And of course, your quarterback threw 3 picks and had a really bad one on a dump off that turned into a huge play that turned it around when you guys were up 14-3. So yeah, Jonathan Taylor ran for 130, not an awful total against the defense, but ran for 130. Hornibrook threw for 4 touchdowns, no picks, threw for 258. Yeah, so they had over 400 yards of total offense. And you guys, I remember DJ Dallas having a couple of nice runs and really taking hold on a couple early drives, and I thought that they should have stayed with him, and they didn't. He only got 8 carries in the game for 69 yards. But yeah, it was a really good ball game that Wisconsin just kind of wore you down in the second half and took things over. But you know, it was down to the last 4 or 5 minutes, and it was still a ball game at that point. But they tacked on a touchdown there to make it 34-24.
Right, and it was kind of a glimpse into what we were going to have to deal with this year.
Yep.
And I always give Cam Underwood lots of credit, man, because he's usually a couple of yards ahead of what's coming. With last year, even though we were on that 10-game winning streak, he on stateofview.com, give him a nice plug there. They would always make articles about how the offense is not doing well. But because we're winning, everybody isn't paying attention to this. Malik Rozier is behind us. I try not to even bring him up because it brings back so much pain of being able to sit here and watch that debacle, especially the opening game against LSU. Because as you know, I was on your channel minutes before kickoff, just so excited and elated and calling it a big-time fight feel, and then 5 minutes into the game, it wasn't even a game anymore. But the offense has to change. It is bad. It's not 1997. You can't keep running 24 dive, 21 dive, play action slant. That type of stuff doesn't work anymore. And also to watch that Pitt game and see what happens when Mark Richt just allows N'Kosi Perry to work in a spread, and we ended up putting a beat down on one of the better teams in the ACC, who went on to represent our side of the ACC and the ACC game and keep it close for at least the first quarter to maybe the first half with Clemson. Brought a glimpse of what could be if we had a spread offense, aggressive offensive coordinator. So, like I said, the season is tough. It was tough to sit there and watch. It was tough as a media person, as a fan. But either way, I rep to you. I'm going to wear my colors, whether we're 6-6, whether we're 13-0 and won a national championship. I will always rep the orange and green until my occupation requires otherwise.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm only going to make one other point because you've done some great work for us here today. I appreciate it. Is to your point about the offense and what Cam was also stating about the offense and the concerns going into this season was, yeah, the numbers as a whole weren't awful, but it was the inconsistency. There would be games in which, as you know, the drives were just insufficient, drive after drive after drive, but there would be a handful of huge plays because of the playmaking ability that you guys had on the outside, where a Jeff Thomas 50-yard play would wipe out like 3 drives of just stagnant lack of consistency in moving the chains, but you'd hit on a big play. And so basically you had poor execution for 7, 8, 10 plays, but you'd hit on a huge one that would produce some points. And then you'd go back and have another 3 awful drives. And then you'd hit a big play in the running game with Homer, or a big pass play downfield with one of the playmakers you have. And that would kind of cover up and mask the inconsistency from down to down that you had, because you'd have 5 or 6 big plays and you'd score 25, something in the range of 25 points. And it didn't look awful on the surface, but the play-to-play production was just not there.
Not there at all. And during that losing streak, if we could have even had 21 points,
yeah,
we win lots of games. We couldn't even put up 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you beat Virginia. You beat Duke. They only scored, they beat you 20-12. Virginia beat you, 16-13, something in that range.
Right.
Georgia
Boston
Tech.
College.
Yeah. Yep.
And, that was the game that we talked about preseason as being the game that a lot of people, including myself, was very scared of.
Yeah.
Because you get South Florida kids up there on a Thursday night in the cold. It usually doesn't bode well for us. But that wasn't the issue. We just couldn't get anything going offensively. And to know Mark Richt, he thought about even pulling Nkosi out of the Florida State game after the first half. But he stuck with him, and look what happened. We came back and won, which is the only highlight of the season to me. If I think big picture, that and the Pitt game, but
yeah.
And Manny Diaz's defense. But regardless, those were the only couple of things from an entire 12, 13 game season that was worth much. Is the defense and a couple of wins, one over a rival and one over a ranked team. But I know that if we do not go out and get a young offensive coordinator, and like I said, Randy Shannon would be my guy on defense, but maybe we try to go after Greg Schiano at Ohio State, but I don't know if that would work out either under Mark Richt. But we need to go get some people, and we need to make some decisions fast. But I do trust Mark Richt because he was the one to give Manny Diaz a chance. Manny Diaz didn't do too well as defensive coordinator at Texas. And at Mississippi State, he was up and down, And Alonzo 1219 will tell you, if anybody asked him, he hated the Manny Diaz hire. He thought it was the worst hire of all the coaches that Mark Richt brought on. But then he turned out to be the best coach. So I trust Mark Richt when it comes to the coaching part of it. I think that he will do a great job in picking the guy. I just hope that he doesn't take too long to where it affects recruiting on a big scale. My only question for right now is, who's going to call our defense against Wisconsin?
I don't have the answer for you. I'm not the one to ask that. Yeah, I have no idea, Dwayne.
Yeah, that's my only question for the next couple of weeks. Hey, we're about 20 days out, about 10, 15 days out from that game, and we don't have a defensive coordinator right now. So that's the only thing that I would be kind of really troubling me against the Wisconsin. That and the weather. Because on a neutral field, I think we're kind of similar teams, but I think with the new peak offensively, I think we'll be able to take them. But, I'll probably be on again a couple of times before that game to give my actual preview analysis and pick a score and a winner and things of that nature.
All right. Sounds good. Wholesome One, we appreciate you stopping by and doing some big work for us here on recruiting Manny Diaz and the bowl game against Wisconsin. You have a great day. And if we don't talk to you in the meantime, but I hope that we will, certainly Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and so forth. But we'll try to track you down in the meantime.
All right. Thank you, Mark. And all those out there that are listening, man, check out my channel. I will be uploading. I have a lot of videos saved up. I'll be uploading over the next about 48 hours or so with my analysis, both offensively and defensively from this season, the coaches' analysis and grades. And I'll also be giving a review of the entire season. And just because it's a unique spelling of my name on YouTube, it is the wholesome one. So TheHolsum and the number 1. Holloway, the U family. So thank you all. I appreciate you, Mark, always for giving me an opportunity on your platform to represent the University of Miami. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the insight and the information as always, man. You take care.
No problem. All right, you too.